Good morning. Glad y'all could join us this morning. Welcome to the Livingston Parish Tech Week. We are going to be covering Google Classroom this morning. So I'd like to give you a little update or introduce myself to you a little bit. My name is Kim Kinchin. Lynn Kennedy is the moderator this morning, so you'll see her name also in the chat. I teach 7th and 8th grade science at Springfield Middle School, and I've been teaching for 33 years. So technology is not completely new to me, but it came in middle of the game, you might say. If you haven't already, here's the link for you to go ahead and sign in for attendance. Your name will be entered into drawings for door prizes. If you prefer to use a QR code, there's one there also. Should be right there on the bottom. Right. Okay. You can copy and paste the website out of the comment bar if you need to. You're not able to actually copy off of the slideshow. While you're doing that, I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of introduction as to what we'll be doing. Here's some beginning information to allow you to be able to participate easier. During the webinar, I will not be able to hear you. You will need to communicate using the comments bar to the right. Okay, this is a little bit different than Zoom. We're using a different application today, or a different program. And with a webinar, you're not able, if you've ever attended one before, you know you're not able to actually talk to the presenter. In order to be able to view the comments bar, though, you will have to exit out of full screen. If I need to repeat something or slow down, please put it in comments so I'll know. Ms. Kennedy will be available to help keep me on track with that. I will try to move slowly and pause often to allow you to ask questions or catch up. In order to best demonstrate this presentation, I will be switching between several screens to give examples. So you may have to be patient with me during that time till I get the right screen up. I have them open, but just to be on the safe side, you know how technology can throw curves sometimes. Lastly, please be patient. This was supposed to be face-to-face, and I have it designed so I could walk around to help you, but again, we're having the virus issue, so we're going all virtual. Yeah, I hope everyone has had time now to sign up so that we can go ahead and begin. This is being recorded so that if you need to go back later and take extra notes, or if I do go a little bit fast and you miss something, you can always go back and look at it later. We're going to be diving into using Google Classroom. We will focus on how to log in using Chrome, set up a classroom, create, grade, and return assignments. For you or your students to log in, use Google Chrome and sign into your Livingston Parish account. Click on the icon, it may be gray. Now I would like for you to walk through this with me, please. So if you could open another tab and maybe use a split screen, or set it up so that you can actually see this tab. But if you can see on my screen up here at the top, I have a little Bitmoji.
It is lagging, like I don't see what you're talking about yet. This is all, it's slower than what.
Okay, click on icon, it may be gray. This is what it looks like up near your exit, if you were going to exit out of the screen. And I point it to, it may be gray because you may not have an icon, but you see the 3 dots there also. Okay, once you've clicked into the on the icon, your login for this is not the lpsb.org. Google has a different login that we use. Now, this email can only be used for Google Sites. It's not usable to actually email or receive emails, okay? But this is what you would use, your teacher email or your student login or ID at livingstonsschools.net. For example, mine would be kimberly.kinchin@livingschools.net. And your password is the same as the computer login. Now, if you're not able to keep up with that right now, again, remember this is being recorded, so you'll be able to go back and look at it in a moment or when you have time to sit down and study it better. You may need to turn on your sync here, which may ask you to sign in again. That's normal. Remember, it's the same beginning as your lpsb.org, but it's at livingstonsschools.net, and your password would be the same as the computer. For those not yet aware of this, is a little extra tidbit for you. Where to find your students' login information, you can actually find this in PowerSchool. If you go to where your current classes are listed, down at the bottom down here, you see Student Login IDs Report. If you click on that, it gives you all your students in alphabetical order with their login, their usernames, all that information's right there. That was handy for me when I found that out. All right, we'll go ahead and go into setting up your classrooms. Those of you who might be familiar with the waffle, that's the common name for this symbol right here. This can be found on the top right-hand side of your screen. You may have to open a new tab to actually see it. I'm going to go ahead at this time and open a new tab so I can show you what I'm talking about. In a new tab, it would be right up here. Okay. That waffle has all your apps. Click on the waffle to view Google Suite apps, find Classroom and click on it. This is what the Classroom app will look like. Let me go back to the other tab and show you again. Here's the waffle, and if you click on it, here's the Classroom. Now, depending on if you've used this very much, you may have to scroll down like here, and it might say more or see more, but you may have to click down here to actually get it to open up to see all the apps. And you can adjust these. You can move these around as to what, like if you use YouTube a lot, you can put that up there like this. So that's helpful also. Okay, so right now we're going to concentrate on the Classroom. There's 5 main Google Suite apps that I use. The first one is the Drive. This is the Google equivalent of Microsoft OneDrive, or I use the Jump Drive also as an example for my students because, you know, the Jump Drive that you actually plug into a computer, it stores and holds all your information for you. Classroom, duh, we're fixing to talk more about that. Docs, this is the Google equivalent of Microsoft Word. Slides, this is the equivalent of Microsoft Excel. And Forms, this can be used for a wide variety of things. This is not the equivalent of Microsoft Excel, I'm sorry. I typed that in wrong. Slides is actually the equivalent of PowerPoint. Okay, that's the equivalent of PowerPoint. You might want to make a note of that. Now, any work you have saved in Microsoft can be uploaded to Google Drive and converted to a G Suite app. All you have to do is once you get it up there, you open it with the Docs if it's a Microsoft Word, or open it with Slides if it's a PowerPoint. Forms is only in Google, so that wouldn't be a problem with that. Excel, there is a, it's called Sheets that you can use for Excel. So I won't be talking about that one much today because I don't use that one a whole lot in the classroom. If you do, you can figure, it's not real hard to figure out. Okay. We will look at using Docs first. Now, the reason I'm starting with Docs is because when we get into the classroom, I'm going to want you to upload some things into your classroom to show you how to use it. So we're going to actually make some documents to use in that upload. Okay, find the waffle again in the top right-hand side of your header, right here. Okay, when you click on it, there's Docs. All right, it should be a symbol that looks like this. Click on the icon and then choose either a blank doc, or you may see a multicolored plus sign to open a blank doc. Where it says untitled document, click and type in your first and last name. Now I'm going to go open one over here just so that you can have an idea of what I'm talking about. Here's Docs. You're going to see all my docs. Down here in the bottom right is my plus sign. Right here where it says untitled document, that's where I want you to type your first and last name, please. Okay. Now I want you to just take a moment and share how you've enjoyed your summer. No one else can see this, see yours right now, and this will automatically save into your Google Drive. So when you're done, you don't have to hit save anywhere like you do with Microsoft. Okay, so just take a few moments and type in how you have enjoyed your summer. I know it's been kind of stressful with all the virus going on. You may not have got to do everything you planned on doing, but hopefully you've enjoyed, found some time to relax. Okay? Now you can just leave that there. It'll be saved in your Google Drive, and we'll refer back to that later. All right? Here's your Google Drive. This is the symbol for it. You might remember it from the previous slide. Find the waffle sign again. Okay, here's the waffle sign. Here's what Google Drive looks like. Remember, you might again have to scroll down to see that until you start using it a little bit more. All right. Click on it and open your Google Drive. If you haven't used it before, it's not going to have very much in it. It should have just the document you just did. You should see the document you just created. It saves your work both automatically on the document at the time that you do it and in your Google Drive. I love that feature, especially for my students. You can set up folders to organize your work just like in OneDrive. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open my Google Drive. You're going to see a ton of stuff in there. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on how to set up your Google Drive. It just gives you some idea of what, see, here's all my folders. I have backgrounds, beginning of the year, Bitmojis, cohort, all the different folders. Here's what I've been working on most recently. So that's up here at quick access. Here's the document I just did. So you should be able to see your document probably right here also. Okay. That was just a quick rundown on Google Drive because you'll be using that later when we get into Classroom. So looking at the settings for Google Drive. If you look over here under Google Drive, you can actually share, and whenever something's shared with you, you can actually click on it here to access it. You can set things as priority, okay? Here's your new, this is the most common one that you'll probably use at first. When you click on new, you can create a new folder. You can upload a file. This is what I was telling you where you can bring in stuff from Microsoft, you file, or even a whole folder at one time. Here's how you can start a new Google Doc. And actually, if I want to put it, let's say I wanted to put it in backgrounds. I open my background folder. I go to new. And I click Google Docs. Oh, I click folder, hold on. Go to new, click Google Docs. And now whenever I open this up and start it, it'll save it automatically into that folder for me. Okay, I'm not going to actually set that up right now because I don't need a Google Doc in my backgrounds folder. And then I can click right here and go back to my drive. Okay. All right. Let me take just a moment right now to go ahead and show you something with the document that we opened. If you want to open it back up, I want to show you how to share it. Like with if you have partner teachers, you could share it like this, and how to set it up to where if like, I use this for parents sometimes too, and they don't necessarily have Gmail. So I can also set it up to where they can use it off any link. So you click on share right here. The default is for it to go just to anyone at Livingston Parish Public Schools. Okay. If that's all I want to use, that's fine. I can just copy this link and send it to anyone in Livingston Parish Public Schools. But if they're using the Livingston Parish LPSB email, they may not could see it. You want to always make it say you have viewer here, because if you click on that, see, they can be a commentator or they can edit it. If you don't want them to be an editor, then make sure it just says view. But right here, I can also change this. Anyone with the link. Now, if I copy that link, any of my parents, like I set up agendas using this, and I send it out to my parents through Remind. So they can open that link and they can actually access this in my Google Drive without actually going into my Google Drive. Okay. So that's a really good aspect to have right there. You can even restrict it to where no one can have it but you. All right. That would probably be unusual. All right. Let me show you one other thing here. Settings. Editors can change permissions and share. I don't want my parents to be able to do that, or my students usually, so I unclick that. Viewers and commentators can see the options to download, print, and copy. I usually leave that available so that they can print and copy, unless it's something that that I don't want out to the public, but that would be unusual with what I use mine for, because I use it with my students and my parents. Okay. All right. Going back to our slideshow now, we'll look at Google Slides. Go back to the waffle. Open a blank one like you did with Google Docs. Title your slideshow with your first and last name. And then here's what I want you to do. I want you to do two things. Insert a picture or a Bitmoji of yourself on the first slide. Put a caption here stating your name, position, school, and subjects you teach. Slide 2, briefly give your philosophy on education. Try to do that in just 1 or 2 sentences for time, okay? I'm going to go real quick. I'm going to come back and let you see that again for directions, but let me just make sure that you know where you're going. Here's the waffle. Here's slides. Once it opens, again, you go down to your rainbow colored plus sign, or either hit blank document, and where it says untitled presentation, type your first and last name again. Okay, and then you're good to go. Let me go back so you can see your directions. So again, on the first slide, insert a picture or Bitmoji of yourself. Put a caption here stating your name, position, school, and subjects you teach, and then give a brief philosophy on education. Again, this is going to be used later in your classroom, so that's why we're doing these first. All right, so if I was going to do that here, if you wanted to make the background, all that's fine. It's just like PowerPoint as far as putting a background or something in. But here's insert, image. I'm going to upload from the computer. I'm going to my Bitmojis. I am. Delete that box there. Pull this one down. Remember, I wanted you to put your name, your position, your school, and the subjects you teach. So, Kim Kenton, Springfield Middle School, 7th, 8th grade science. Right, I'm gonna move my picture up a little bit so I can center this a little bit better. Okay, and of course, if you had time, you could play around with that. Now to insert a new slide, you can go, there's a couple different ways you could do it. You can go to insert and go down, there's new slide. And on this one, remember you're going to give your philosophy in just a couple of sentences on education. Okay, now remember it saves it for you automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. You could just go ahead and close that if you would like. And we're going to move forward. These are Google Forms. Now, these are awesome for numerous things. They can be used for surveys. They can be used for quizzes. They can be used, we even did ours for voting for homecoming court last year. So there's a multitude of things you could use it for. Go back to the waffle again. Find the Forms icon. Title your form Summer Survey. Add 2 or 3 questions you would like to ask your students upon return to school in August. Okay, I'll come back to that slide. Let's make sure you know where you're going. Here's your waffle. There's Forms. A little plus sign. Okay, where it says untitled form here or here, either place, put Summer Survey. And see, it will automatically transfer whenever I do that. Then take a moment now and maybe do 1 question at this time. Just to get a feel for it. How did you survive COVID-19? Let's see. Yeah, that's not even a word yet. All right, and then you might, instead of making it multiple choice, you can make it short answer. And they can type their answer in. Or if you have want to change your question, you can make it multiple choice. You can make it drop down. There's all types of different things here that you could do with that. That's just something you may have to take time and play with to figure out. All right. Now, when I come back to view this later, this is where I would click right here under responses to see what my students have actually said. And then at that time, I could actually print out a spreadsheet showing their answers. Okay. Here's the settings where I can set it up. If respondent request, I can have them a receipt. I don't usually use that. I like to collect the emails just to be safe. And here's a very important feature, limit to 1 response. Okay. If you don't limit it to 1 response, once they submit it, it'll come up, submit new response, and they can go in and actually keep adding responses, and you don't know which one you want to grade if it's for a grade. Okay. So limit to 1 response underneath settings. You can actually preview what it will look like here when they when you want them to, what they'll see it as. Okay, now you're going to use this again also when we get into our classroom. All right. Ready? Let's get to what you all signed up for. Google Classroom. All right, here we go. We will first look at a sample class and explore sites from a student's view. So please go into Google Classroom. If you would, just go over here again, go to the waffle, find your Google Classroom, okay? Once you've clicked on it, there's a plus sign at the top right-hand side. It looks like this. It should be beside your Bitmoji there. Here's my Google Classroom. See the plus sign here? Okay, click on that and then click on Join. I'm sorry. Type in this code. This would be the same process you would use to have your students join your class. Okay, now I'm going to go to the Google Classroom that I have set up for this session and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, see right here? There's your class code. I can click on it like that and it displays it open like this for everyone to be able to see. So if you would go ahead and type that in and you'll be joining this classroom. When you do join, this should be the first thing that you see. And that way you'll know that you're there. Okay. If you're a little bit behind us, there's the code still showing right here. Okay. There's another way to display that code. You can go to Settings. And if you scroll down here, it says General Class Code, and I'll show you this again later also. You can display it there also. All right. So I want to start with the settings in Google Classroom. Find the settings gear in the top right-hand side of your heading. Okay. Now remember, you're looking at it from a student's point of view right now, not a teacher's. So here's the settings. If you'll click on that gear, this is where the teacher can make changes that they want when setting up the classroom. So I'm going to also click on that on my screen so that you can see what it looks like from over here. All right, so here's the class details. You can even put your classroom number in there if you would like, your subject. All that information would display on the screen later on. Underneath General, this is a very important section here because not only does it have the class code, but it has the stream. So what's the stream? Let me go back and show you real quick. Discard my changes. This is your stream. If you look up at the top, you have stream, classwork, people, and grades. Here's your stream. Now, you won't see all these tabs necessarily on yours because, again, remember, you're looking at it right now from a student's point of view. When you look at yours in a minute, when you set one up, you'll see these. Stream and classwork, though, will always be there. So here's stream. This is what they see when they first log in. And here's the assignments and things that we're going to look at later. I prefer them to go to classwork here. So this is when in settings, when I mention stream, this is what we're talking about, though. This will give you an idea. So underneath stream right here, you have some options. Students can post and comment depending on what your students are like, and you can set this up different per class. So if you have a class that you can't trust on commenting, then you may want to put only teacher can post or comment. Okay? If you have those that are can actually be trusted to do that, students can only comment. Students can post and comment. So that I don't mind sometimes having the comment. I don't like them to be able to post all the time because it depends on what they're posting for. Now, if they're working in groups, sometimes you can go in and change it as needed. Okay? So depending on your class, you have that option there. All right? This one, class work on the stream. Let me go show you this on the Google. See how it says show condensed notifications and hide notifications. Take note of that as I go into the slideshow. Okay? Again, that can be different per class depending on the students in each class. So under class details, I just went through that with you. This is under the Guardian. I'll come back to that. Classwork on the stream. So the stream is what the students see when they first log in. I showed you that just a moment ago. This is what it would look like if you choose the condensed notifications. See how down here you don't actually see any details. You just see a title, okay? If you choose the attachments and details, now they can actually see the slideshow that you want them to access, okay? So I prefer them not to access things from here. That's just my preference. So I don't use the detailed. I use the condensed version. Okay, so that's what this is talking about here. Show condensed notifications, show attachments, or you can hide notifications altogether. Let me show you what that looks like also. See, nothing shows up here. They can't communicate. You can share something on here, but they can't post any kind of comments. Okay, so back under general, I'm going to show condensed. Show deleted items. Only teacher can view deleted items. So you might want to leave that. Depends on how, my students don't need, if it's deleted, that's a reason for that. So I don't have them be able to see that. Now the Guardian summaries, I find those very helpful. Okay. It depends on your parents and how much they would like to be active. There's a place here where you can see examples. I am going to go through that with you a little bit. Now, if you're interested in the meat, we are doing a whole different session on that on Wednesday. You might want to join us for that so that you can, that's an awesome tool though to use actually in your classroom. And this Guardian summary goes along with this grading. All right. I don't use the grading in Google Classroom right now because it only shows what you've actually graded in Google Classroom. All right. Obviously, it's not linked to PowerSchool, so there's no way for them to see their overall accurate grade. And I don't want them to get confused and think what they see in Google Classroom is their overall grade. So I don't use this in my classroom. But there is that option. I do grade things here, and I post it back. I return it back to my students, which I'll show you that in a moment. But I don't allow them to actually see a grade, an overall grade in Google Classroom. Okay, let's move on to talking about the Guardian. I'm going back. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all give me 1 second to get to that slide. All right, let's go ahead and set up our Google Classroom. I'll share about the Guardian at the end of the presentation. Plus there's examples there, so you can, and I've put some of those in the slideshow also. So if you will, click back to your classes. That's right here. Okay, see the pancake, that's what they call this, as a pancake. Right here, it's up in the top left-hand corner in your Google Classroom, and you'll see the tab that says classes. Now is when it's fixing to get fun for y'all. All right. So now you'll see something. You should see the classroom that we just did. You just joined this Google Classroom technology training, sorry. And then if you have done Google Classrooms, you'll have yours in there also. All right. So you want to go to the plus sign right here, and you want to click Create Class. Okay. In case you missed that, the plus sign, click on it and then on Create. Begin by naming your first class. Example, first hour, 8th grade, and I always put the year because you have to archive them at the end of each year. And this way, if I need to go back, I can see which one I need to use. Only do one for the time being. You can finish it after the webinar. I know you're going to get into it and it's going to be exciting and you're going to start doing them all and you're going to want to do every one of them, but just try to limit yourself to one for right now. I'm going to call this my technology Google session. Okay, see, you can put a section, subject, room number, and then press create. This sometimes takes a second. All right. Now, I'm going to take just a moment for this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but if you'll see here, it says select theme or upload photo. You can change all this to whatever you like. I'll show you real quick how I've done some of mine just so that you can have an idea what I'm talking about. Okay. So here's my first hour class from last year. See how I changed it? Science Rocks, and I changed it into something that they could notice whenever they actually log in that that's their classroom. Okay, so that's the banner or the heading here. You can select that and fix that up later. Okay. I'd like for you to go first to your settings and go ahead and set up if you want the notifications to be showing or not. Okay. I'm showing condensed notifications on this one also. And of course, I wouldn't show deleted items. Okay. That shouldn't take very long. Now, ready? Here we go. We're going to add assignments to it. Now, remember, you've already made 3 assignments. You made a doc, you made a slideshow, and you made a form. Okay? So, click on your classwork in your header. I'm going to go through the directions first, and then I'll go walk you through it on the actual classroom. Click on your classwork in your header. Click on it, and then on Create. All right. So here's my classwork. Here's Create. Now don't make a choice yet because it depends on how you want to, what you're going to actually use. All right. Depending on what you are assigning determines which action to take. If you notice, there's several. For example, if it's something that the student doesn't need to submit for a grade, like a video link, then you would want to use just the materials option. Okay, because you're just giving them some materials for class. But if it's to be worked on individually by each student and then submitted for a grade, then you will have to use the assignment option or quiz if you want to generate it as a quiz. Here, you have the option to assign it to each student separately, and that is very, very, very important. So let's go look at that. Okay, so let's say that you're doing an assignment, okay, and it's something that you're going to want to, we'll say that it's that survey, all right? The one that you did on the forms, the summer survey. So let's click assignment, title it, summer survey. Right here, you have the option of putting in instructions that you might want, especially if it's the first time they've used them. Most students, a lot of students have actually used this now, just maybe not in your classroom, but just to be safe, you might want to do the instructions here. Click on assignment below, complete survey. Okay. Now, watch carefully, please. If you click on add, here's where you can go to Google Drive, where you just made that form. Okay. The first thing that comes up is your recents, which you recently did. And here's my summer survey. Okay. There's the slideshow and there's the document. If for some reason it's not showing there, if you click on My Drive, then you should find it in there. Okay? You can even upload from somewhere else if you want to drag something in here from Microsoft Office that you haven't uploaded yet. Just be aware that you may have to tweak it if it doesn't load correctly. So it's always better to put it into your Drive first before you do that. So I'm going to click the summer survey. and hit insert. Now, there it is. Now, let's say I had not done that already. I can go to create right here, and there's forms. I could create my form straight from here, and it would load into here. Now, the neat thing with forms is it automatically assigns this to every student. So you don't have to worry about if they're into it and they're working on it and if they might mess someone else's work up. It automatically assigns it in forms to each individual student. If you want, here's over here where you can assign your points, if it's for a grade, or if it's not, you can just click ungraded. My survey, of course, would not be for a grade. You could put no due date, or you can actually give a due date. Calendar comes up and you can set it. That's like that. Okay. Topic, I'll talk to you more about that in just a minute. Well, I'll go ahead and do it now. So here's the topic. I have tons of topics usually already created in my classrooms because I've already been using it. But if you let's say you need to create a topic, we'll do that. And and I'll show you why this would be helpful in a minute. I'm gonna put beginning, oops, let's spell it right, of school. Okay. And this is actually this just showed up recently. Rubric, you can attach a rubric for the children to see, and you can actually have them check for plagiarism. Okay, so now I'm going to hit assign. Oh, if let's say you have something that you want for each individual student, then once your students are enrolled, remember they would use that code to get in, you can assign it to certain students and have a whole different survey maybe for another group of students. All right, that's a really cool aspect, especially for differentiation and using with your special ed students possibly that are incorporated into your regular classroom. All right, so hit assign. Now, see how it shows up in the classwork? Here's my topic that I made, beginning of school, summer survey. Okay, which is very, it's helpful for me. I know I'm an organized person. I like everything in their nice little cubby holes. All right. Let's go back and see what it looks like on the stream. There's the summer survey. That's with it in condensed form. If you wanted it to actually just access it from there, oops, you can actually put show attachments and details. Save it, go back, and see how it shows up here. Now they can actually click on it from there, and it takes them to the survey. Or go to classwork, click on it from here, and it takes them to the survey. All right, get back to my stream here. Now my slideshow shows you the different ways that the two different options. Notice you can actually insert a link too, or a file or a YouTube video. These are the different, this is option number 2 that we looked at over here. Okay. Let me go back for just a minute over here. I would like for you to go back, if you don't mind, go over here to your classes and go to your Google Classroom training that you joined. I want to show you just briefly. This is what the lesson plan format may look like this year. This is what you might be hearing from your principals shortly, if not already. You'll have a standards at the top where they're going to actually push out a sheet, which is like Microsoft Excel, that you'll put in here that's supposed to have your standards all listed, and then you'll go beside the standard that you're teaching each day and put the date that you're teaching it. Being that I don't have it yet, I can't show it to you, but all you would have to do is upload it into this section. You would go to edit, create, and you would probably want to do an assignment because you want to be able to actually write in it, okay? And when you do that assignment, then you would upload that sheet that you get. Guys, if you have any questions, y'all can always email me. I'm easy to get a hold of. So you can always, if you get stuck there, just give me a holler. I'll be glad to help y'all out. Then, like, this is would be my first day. I would only have A or B here. Now, personally, I'm going to have a classroom for my A schedule and a classroom for my B schedule, so that way they don't get confused on seeing what's in each of those different classrooms. Although it'll probably be the same thing, I don't want their work to show up in the wrong place. So you have three main things. You won't have to write lesson plans in OwnCourse, according to what I've been told. You'll be doing it. This will be your lesson plans. So you'd have your instruction tab underneath that day. And here's your instructions today. So you actually have access right here to this same slideshow I've been going through. So as long as you're in this classroom, and I won't archive it or delete it for several days, then you have access to this slideshow right here. Okay. And after you taught your lesson, had your instruction, then you would have your independent practice. Right here, if you don't mind, I would like for you to go in, view assignment, and see how it shows up at all the people who are in here. There's all your stuff. Okay. Now, let's say that I wanted to look at Lacey's work. Okay, I can click on just Lacey's. And when it opens up, there it is. And I can make comments over here to Lacey that you see right here. I can actually edit it in here. This is important right here where it says return. Once I return it, Lacey cannot unsubmit it. Okay, so you might not want to do that. And if your student did something that in there that you want them to be able to review and take another look at, then you want to leave it like this. Lacey, if you can hear me, you might go to that and hit unsubmit at this point, and then it would go back down here, and then she can make any changes that I had suggested that she made. Okay, I didn't make any, but you would see what I was talking about. Okay, and here's how you can look at the instructions or their student work. I hope that helps right there. It's kind of hard not to be able to see your faces to know if you understand it or not. All right, so I'm going to go back to the classroom now. I'm going to go to classwork. That was where the practice. Then here's the assessment. Please don't do this just yet because we're not quite through, but this is the survey. All right, so when we get ready to do the survey at the end, you would just click on this and it's going to take you straight to that tiny URL, same one that's posted in the comments, and you'll be able to do your survey from here. But for right now, if you would just hold off on that for just a second. Let's talk about the Guardian email. Can a parent receive Guardian email without an email account? Yes. You can get email summary sent to any email address. However, to view or update emails settings, you need a Google account. With a Google account, you can change the frequency of your emails. This goes into all the details. I'm not going to sit here and read that whole thing to you. Like I said, you have access to it and it will record it. But the important thing is to know that the parent can receive it. Okay? You may want to refer your parents to this website when sending the invitation to assist them in setting it up. This is the website that they can go to that helps the parent actually set this up so that they can receive it properly. When do guardians get the summaries? I tell you what, let me pause here for just a minute. Let me go back over here. Let's go to settings. Here's general. There's grading. Here's the guardian summaries. If I click that, I don't want to add all my classes. Well, I'm going to add this class. All right. Now my parents will receive this guardian summary. What's the purpose of that? You're probably thinking, why would they? First of all, I give them the option. Do they want to receive it? That way they're not getting something that's annoying to them or that might be something that they would be fussing about receiving every week. I don't know what this is. I don't know. Well, this is something that was an option for them. So when do parents get summaries? Parents can get emails daily or weekly, and they can unsubscribe at any time. So let's for some reason they don't find it useful or helpful or whatever they might decide, they can unsubscribe at any time. It's in their ballpark. Guardians won't get an email summary if there's no activity report for the given time period, whether it be daily or weekly. All your students' teachers turned off notifications for their classes. They won't receive it. They accepted the invitation but chose not to get any summaries, or if they're not connected to any student in the classroom, all right, which you have to go in and do. I'll show you that in a second. See what an email looks like. So here's an email summary. I'm sorry. Forget that I'm in that thing. So here's an email summary that you can actually go and look at when you have an opportunity, when you're looking at the slideshow later. Guardian email, what does the guardian receive in the email? Will it benefit my students? Absolutely, it'll benefit your students. If you have an active parent, they receive things that will help them to monitor their students' progress in your class or lack thereof, maybe. See if you can find your general settings again. Okay, so this would be your general settings. Here's where you would turn it on. Okay, I believe that's just what this slide is going to show you real quick. I jumped ahead on that one. All right, a teacher or school administrator can invite a guardian to receive them. So they can't just do it on their own. You have to send an invitation out to them. What's included? It includes the missing work that their child may have, because it'll show up in the classwork area as missing. It'll show upcoming work, and it'll show class activity. I'm going to show you an example of this in just a minute. Guardians who sign up for email summaries can't see the stream. They can't see the classwork. They can't see inside Google Classroom. They can only see the assignments that their child either are missing, have upcoming, or a class activity. A teacher administration sends an invitation to a guardian. After a guardian accepts the invitation, they choose when to get email summaries. They have to choose if they want it daily or weekly. Okay. By default, email summaries for classes are turned off. If you're a teacher, you can get instructions to turn them on. Okay. And that's a link right there that you can click on to go look at whenever you're viewing this slideshow individually. All right. All right, so here's an example of what it looks like. Now I had to cut it in half, and here's the top half and here's the bottom half to get it on here. But here's this would be see where it says week summary for Felix, August the 1st through August the 5th, 2016. Student work, missing from last week. It was due July 26th, and it shows all the classes that use Google Classroom, not just yours in the summary. They can actually access all of their classes. Okay, so here's the U.S. history, English and American literature, due next week. So here's a heads up on what's to come. And class activity from last week here shows what they actually did turn in. Okay, so how you can 100 things are probably going through your head right now. Oh, that's really good because they can see that. And if your parent is active and very useful in helping keep their students on track, this would definitely be a plus to have them receive. Okay. Again, at this point, I would normally take questions, but let's move on. Remember, okay, this ain't no thing. You are not alone. We're a team, and we got this. This is going to be a very different year, especially at the beginning. Hopefully, it won't go the whole year, but at the beginning, it's going to be different. Let me go back real quick. One other thing I want to show you here in class settings. I'm sorry, not in class settings. Here, where it says people. See, all of you are listed here. Email, invite guardians. Here's where I would go to invite my guardians and actually, let me show you what it looks like. Type in their email address. And then once they've accepted it, their name will show up and their email address will show up right here beside the student that they are associated with or assigned to. Okay. I can email my student from here, which doesn't help in this case because remember this email address is only for Google Classroom. It's not usable to email or receive emails. You can go here. This is also helpful. Let's say if you have a student that transfers out, then you can mute them so that they're not receiving these in another classroom, maybe if they're using it somewhere else, or you can actually remove them. That way they're not in your classroom and they're not seeing everything going on in your class as well as wherever else they may be at now. Okay, here's the grade section if you do choose to use it. See how this assignment shows up here? Here's the practice. And it even, that is one good thing about it. It does show you a class average. Now remember, I don't show this to my students, but I have access to it where I can see it. All right. Okay. If you don't have any other things to display to us, if you will go back here in your classroom, go to classwork, underneath assessment, click on the survey here, please. And I would like to tell you thank you for your time. We are definitely proud here in Livingston Parish. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me there at that email address. And here is the QR if you would like to use the survey that way. All right, thank you. I'm going to be closing out the live stream now. Have a good day.